We have been doing this for 20 years like it's our job. I mean,
That's
right now
right.
we're pretending it is our job,
That's
but we've been
right.
doing it before we were pretending it was our job. So stop.
Exactly.
Just
Exactly.
stop it. Stop it.
Right. Right. We are
Give us
experts
credit.
at this point.
We really are.
Expert.
We really are. Welcome to We Wine Whenever. Grab your glass and join 3 Jersey Shore housewives, Wendy, Kelly, and Lori, as they dive into everything from Bravo drama to life's everyday chaos. It's unfiltered, it's hilarious, and it's the real talk you've been waiting for, from relationship to pop culture. We drink wine whenever, and we hope you do too. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a 5-star review. Cheers! Hi, welcome to We Wine Whenever. I'm Wendy.
I'm Kelly.
We are talking about Real Housewives of Potomac Season 10 Reunion Part 3. Whew, this has been a long one.
Yeah. I mean, I think we kind of nailed it last week because without even having seen the third part, we didn't need a second part. This could have been condensed into 2 parts. Now, did you send cousin Gina and I, what the recording was? Because I was too
I
busy
did.
today and I
I
didn't listen
did.
to it. Damn it anyway. Because that's how
Yeah,
this
that's
opens
okay.
up with Monique playing that. So what
Yes.
was the actual recording?
So Ashley was on something, and she said what the recording was. It was a conversation with one of Monique's children, and the child was saying that they overheard their father talking to somebody about if Stacey was on this season of Real Housewives of Potomac. Now, her kids are small. Her kids don't know who Stacey is. So it's nothing that basically it sounds like it's nothing her children would have made up. But that being said, they overheard when I was taking my notes, I thought for sure it was Chris that was saying these things.
Me
That's
too.
what they were bleeping out. But it wasn't
Me
Chris. It
too.
was one of her children. Now, again, if it's one of her children listening to Chris, I think he was probably talking to Cookie. And Chris Samuels knows who Stacey is, and Cookie knows who Stacey is. And just because it came from one of the kids doesn't mean that that makes it true, because it came from one of the kids that was overheard from the father.
And I'm sorry, but is this a smoking gun? Like, who cares?
That's
Chris
how I
is
felt
saying,
about
is
it.
Stacey being on this next season? That doesn't indicate that he was dating her.
Right. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It just indicated that Chris Samuel had a conversation with somebody, we don't know who, on the phone that one of his children overheard, and Stacey's name was mentioned.
Big deal.
I know. That's exactly how I felt about it.
But you see
And
Gizelle's eyes, like there was this big smoking gun. Like, that's
yeah,
nothing.
I know, because what I wrote down is, we don't get to see the video. All we see are the reactions on the women's faces. And the women's faces were like,
Yeah, like there was something bigger
right.
going on.
So then Andy asked Stacey if she told Chris that Monique was filming with the children. Stacey said absolutely not. Now, I guess hearing that, because it was one of the children that was talking, that doesn't mean that Monique was filming with the children, and Monique didn't film with the children. So why would Stacey even say that? Like, it didn't make any sense to me, to be quite honest with you.
Not at all.
After I heard what Ashley said, it didn't make any sense.
I think that's a big, giant nothing.
I do too, because Stacey's like, absolutely not. I just went through a divorce myself. Like, I would not want to get involved in someone else's business with their family. And I believe her.
I believe her too.
And then Andy said, well, why would bleep make that up? Meaning the child. And I wrote, I'm assuming he said Chris, but it wasn't. It was the child repeating what Chris said. The child didn't make it up. The child was repeating what Chris said. And then Andy said, were you in contact with Chris while we were in production? Stacey said, no, I was not. And I believe that she wasn't, because when they were in production, she was already back with Timo. They were already back together.
What I didn't understand was Monique said something that because she's like, because then you showed me that text, but it didn't make sense what she was saying. So what I didn't understand was why Andy said Wendy was looking at Stacey waiting for her to confess to something. And then all she could say was the tides are turning. What tides? These women have been coming for Stacey since she got on the show.
Well, before Andy said that to Wendy, jumps in and said, she starts talking. He said, you know what really got me, Monique, is the first time we met you, like you were really vulnerable and you really opened up. And I literally got in the car to leave, and Cookie called me up, was saying that Chris was all upset that he was going to send you a cease and desist, which again solidifies the whole Cookie Chris thing and Kay like stirring this up. I don't think Stacey had anything to do with this. I really don't. And I think that when Andy asked Wendy that, she was just kind of sitting there watching what was happening and like, what is going on? Because I think she knows that Stacey didn't say anything. And why are they putting all this? And again, like, what is she going to say? Because they can't really talk about the video. And why are they putting all this weight on a video that was made by a child that overheard their father speaking?
Ask you a question. Who is more responsible for all of us knowing that Chris Samuels was a douchey husband? Is it Stacey for possibly repeating something? Or is it Monique for going on national television and telling an entire table full of women she knew and didn't know, and the rest of the world who are watching this show, that her husband was a douchey husband?
Right.
I'm sorry,
Absolutely.
but when does
Absolutely.
Monique take responsibility? You didn't say this in a dark room with no cameras. You said this on camera, knowing that the entire world was going to see it. So whether Chris found out that day because Cookie, the jacked up super fan, went back and told him, or when he watched the episode, because somebody told him his name got brought up and he watched the episode. This was very early on in the season.
Right. No, it definitely was very early on in the season. And
she
I
has
think
to
it's
take
Kay.
some responsibility here, Monique.
But I think it's Kay giving all this information back to Cookie, and then that's how it's getting to Chris. And again, I don't, and Monique even said, you know, when she started the whole conversation, she said, I don't have a problem with you, Stacey. Like, I think you're funny. I watch you this season. And even at the end, like, I still think that Monique is going to be okay with Stacey. I do. I think
do too.
I think that this whole I think it was made up, this whole beginning part. I think it was all bullshit.
It was so stupid. She doesn't even care. The dating thing has nothing to do with this. She's concerned with the fact that her husband is going to find out about what she said. Well, then you shouldn't have said it on national television, because he was either finding it out then or finding it out now like the rest of us. Either way, you made a decision to say it on national television, right? That's what she's pissed off about. It got back to Chris, what she said. She doesn't care if Stacey dated Chris.
No, she doesn't care if Stacey dated Chris.
I don't know. I just think that Monique needs to take some responsibility here.
I mean, Monique even said to Stacey, like, why are the daggers out for you to this magnitude? Like, Stacey said, I have nothing to gain by being involved with your ex. Like, and she said, I would beg for you to be smarter at this moment. And did you see the look on Kay's face when she said that? Because what she said was right. She doesn't have anything to gain. Why are there daggers out for her? The daggers are out for her because Kay wants to stir the pot. She wants to keep a spot, because Gizelle does not like Stacey, because Stacey's smarter and more poised than she will ever be.
Prettier, younger, got more money. 3 strikes against you as far as Mizzy Jizzy's concerned.
And Stacey said, well, then why don't we just all sit down and talk to Chris? And Monique's like, well, he would never be accountable, which is true. Which is why are you even, like, we're talking about something that your child overheard him talking about. What? We don't know this. As a viewer, we don't know this. If I didn't see that clip where Ashley gave up what the video was, we wouldn't know that.
Right.
And that honestly is very, very frustrating. It's very frustrating.
Well, if he sent a cease and desist and his voice is on there, or her children, he probably sent a cease and desist about him and the kids.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, listen, then Andy says, as he always does, all right, we're just going to leave it there.
That's it. We're just going to move on. We're not going to get anywhere here. So let's just move on.
Yep. And now we're going to talk about the hosting etiquette. And there's plenty of do's and don'ts this season. So then they show us a bunch of events that were hosted this season. And then a viewer says to Gizelle, you did a great job hosting the trip to Neva's, but do you regret intentionally excluding Stacey from aspects of the trip, not embroidering her robe? And Gizelle said, no, I would apologize for giving you a large robe. I didn't realize I gave you a large. I would give you your size, but I still wouldn't embroider your name on it. And just everyone looked at her and Giselle's like, I'm being shady. And Stacey said, all right, shade accepted. Again, like unbothered. She was unbothered by it.
Unbothered.
Yep.
It's the best way she can be. It's the best way she
Absolutely.
can be.
And then a viewer asked Angel, why do you keep making people sit in silent circles at your events?
I liked when Monique was like, I would have been down with that. Like, I wish I was there.
Yeah, and Angel said, well, I didn't know the group, but now I know that this is not the meditation
It's
group.
not the group.
And then again, Andy is shady. He asked for a show of hands about Stacey's potato salad. Really? Really, Andy?
I'm sorry, but that clip of whose ever daughter going, ew, what is that? I don't even think she's talking about the potato salad. I think she was talking about Jassie's mac and cheese.
It could be. It could be.
But every time they bring up the potato salad, they show that little clip.
Wendy said it was good potato salad. Well, first she said it wasn't bad. I mean, I've had better. And Stacey's like, you could have stopped at that. And Giselle's like, no one even tried it. Giselle's like, no one even tried it. I was like, okay. Then a viewer asked Tia, I thought this one was good. What did your coworkers, AKA the white people, think when they watched the Polo episode?
I'm going to be honest with you, and I might get some heat for this, but when Gizelle said, these people never seen black people before, that's insulting.
It's insulting.
That's insulting to say. Isn't it?
It is insulting. Yes, it is.
Let's
100%.
not be ignorant, Gizelle.
Right.
That's a very
Right.
insulting thing to say, but nobody calls her out on that shit.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
I'm sure I'll get
Tia
some
said-
flack for that, but you know what? I'll take the flack for that because I
That's
firmly,
okay.
I stand by that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Tia said, well,
Well-
I'm still gainfully employed there. And then Kiarna made some comment about selling a house or something. Like those two were going back and forth at each other about real estate.
Yeah.
I didn't write it down.
No,
She
she did.
Something about $150,000 house or something.
Yeah. Yeah, Kay was kind of coming for Tia a little bit.
She was.
I felt like, I mean, other than Angel, she kind of, I don't think she had any bonds there.
No, because she was going for Stacey. She was she was going for Tia.
Mm-hmm.
And then Andy said, well, let's talk about the Colorado. Angel said the ladies gave you a lot of blowback for having them in separate houses. And Angel said, yeah, in hindsight, I could see where that was a problem. Again, when they talked about this whole Colorado trip, they never brought up the production of it all. And that's, again, something that annoyed me. Like,
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. We are
Absolutely.
smarter than that. We are
Yes, we are.
smart, Bravo viewers. We have been doing this for 20 years like it's our job. I mean,
That's
right
right.
now we're pretending it is our job,
That's
but we've been doing
right.
it before we were pretending it was our job. So stop.
Exactly.
Just stop it. Stop it.
Right. We
Give
are
us
experts
credit.
at this point.
We really are.
We're at expert level. I totally agree. Them not bringing up production, them not saying like, Bravo was aware of the conditions of the home.
Right. Because they booked it.
They booked it.
They
They are
Yep.
probably the ones who got them into the Four Seasons, not Gizelle.
I know. So Angel apologized, and Gizelle said, well, this is the first time we're getting this apology.
Which is not true.
No, it's not.
She tried
not.
to apologize on the plane, and Gizelle was too late. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Angel tried to
And-
apologize.
She did. Andy asked Angel how she got so lost, and she said one of her staff dropped her a pin, and then they got to the location of the pin, and there was no one there. Listen,
was a bad
mistakes
luck.
happen. I mean,
Yeah.
mistakes happen. But then Andy did also again end with shade. We've never ended a season at a gas station. Okay, that's very true. It's very true.
I love how they were like, this is a gas station margarita.
Never even heard of a gas station margarita. I mean, that must be a Colorado thing, because here in New Jersey, you cannot get a margarita at a gas station.
No, you can't. You can't. Or
I want that.
Walmart. Or,
Right.
I was going to say Pathmark. ShopRite. How about Gizelle? Like, Gizelle don't do side of the road.
Yeah.
Gizelle don't do food truck. Gizelle, you've done a food truck. Come on.
Yes, I'm sure. Yes.
You've done a food truck. Like, she's just bothersome this season. She's always been a little bit, but I just feel like this season, it was a little over the top.
Yeah. And then Andy says, we're going to leave it there.
Of course.
And Jassy leaves, and Andy said, "We're gonna take a quick break." And then we see when they get back from break, they're all out there waiting, and Karen comes out all dressed. And we saw her get out of the car all dressed and ready to go. So I don't know why she had a little glam room there because she showed up ready to go.
With, like, 10 people.
Yeah, with like 10 people. Ashley said that it was good to see her. And Gizelle said this happened before Karen got out. Ashley said to Andy, it was good that interview that you did with her. And then Gizelle said you were really tough on her. Like, I was
No, he
glad to see
wasn't.
that. And then
Right.
Andy's like whispering because she's like on her way out. And he's like, yeah, she's really like owning, she's really taking accountability. And I'm like, wait,
They're all
what?
wrong on all fronts.
Yeah.
Andy was not tough on her, and she is not taking accountability. She will not admit to being an alcoholic. She will not call herself an alcoholic. And if you are in a 12-step program, I believe, and anybody can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that one of, if not the first step, is admitting that you have a problem and that you are powerless over this problem.
Well, yeah, yes, I believe that that's correct, and
I believe, just from
only
my
you
experience
can
of people I love who are in the program.
yeah, you can only label yourself too, nobody else can label you, so, generally, they do start out the meetings that their name and "I'm an alcoholic," or their name and "I'm an addict."
Yes.
That is how the meeting starts,
Yes, it is.
because that's how they do it, but maybe she goes to different meetings where maybe she's not doing the 12-step program, maybe she's doing
She's in
another
recovery
program.
for life on all levels.
Right. Yeah. Listen, this is her journey. She's going to and then Andy brings up, you said that you wanted to shed the Grand Dame moniker. Is that still the case? And she said, "Let's be very clear, Andy. I never needed the Grand Dame." I was like, "Okay, Karen, but I'm very grateful for it. I've tried to shed it. It's not working, so I'm going to give the people what they want." What people? I don't
Right.
not me. You didn't ask
Not me.
me.
Not
Didn't
me.
ask Kelly. What people are you asking? Cookie?
Shed away,
Who
whatever your name is, Karen.
Karen.
Yeah,
Who did
okay.
you ask? Cookie? And Kay? Maybe Gizelle? And actually, Gizelle is the one who gave her the title.
Mhm.
So, I don't know who he asked.
But she said Andy Cohen did.
Giselle's super excited to have Karen back. Ashley said it's amazing. Then the whole Wendy and Karen was very awkward. Wendy says she hasn't seen her and she's glad to see her on the other side of this. Andy asked who's been the most supportive of this group, and Karen said Gizelle surprised me. She said to Gizelle, "Leaving those notes in my mailbox. I got them. I read them. I kept them." Which, okay. Then Andy said, "What was your reaction when you heard Gizelle saying she was hoping you were in the elderly wing of the jail?" And Karen said, "I ignored it." Then Karen asked Stacey if she lied this season. Stacey said, What did I lie about? Last season, she said you lied about your boyfriend, and this season, I hear you're dating Chris." I was like, okay, she's starting in with Stacey.
I feel like she took 20 seconds to talk about what happened to her, and, in my personal opinion, and we know cousin Gina agrees, and I believe you do, took 0
Yeah.
accountability.
Yeah,
She
I didn't
was
think,
not
yeah.
humble in the
No,
slightest. There was no
no.
humility. And then she went right in to old Karen, "I'm the grand dam, and you all need to listen to me."
Yeah, because the next thing Andy said is, "I wanna revisit something that you said, Karen. You said you were not completely comfortable calling yourself an alcoholic, and isn't part of being an addict owning it?" And Karen said, "I'm still not. It's a personal choice. I own everything about it. I say I'm a woman that chooses to have complete sobriety in recovery for the rest of my life." Okay. Again, that's not owning it. That's not owning it. Then
No,
Andy talks
and she
about
says that people should applaud her for facing her addiction, but she won't call herself an alcoholic, but people should applaud her for facing her addiction. That's hypocritical, those 2 things.
yeah, it is. And then Andy brought up about BravoCon, how there was many that, she received applause when she came out, but there was other people that don't believe that she should be on this platform, anymore. And Karen said she's living in recovery again. Gizelle said, well, she's done the work on herself and she did the time. And then, it's just like, come on. She did the time because she had to. There was no choice, right? That's why
Right.
she did the time.
Shannon Bedour was 10,000 times more humble
And accountable.
than Karen and accountable. You could say whatever you
And
want.
Tamara still held her feet to the fire. Still held her
Right.
feet to the fire.
That's right. That's right.
Andy said that there's a group of women that said that you were in denial. And this group of women at the last reunion, and Karen admits that she was in denial last season. And then he brings up about Ashley mentioning about the legal seafood and how Karen admitted that, like that was such a big thing. I mean, she was doing it every day. She was doing it every day.
Right.
And her response was, okay, so Ashley finally got a story right. That's what her response was.
Why is it Ashley got a story right, but Wendy basically said the same exact thing? Wendy's a liar.
Yep, exactly.
Right? Wendy probably
Exactly.
spoke to someone who also worked at Legal Seafood.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, listen, the only reason I would believe that Wendy was not being 100% truthful is because that story about the realtor with Angel, and I'm kind of surprised this didn't come up. I don't think Wendy really had a conversation with that realtor, unless that realtor is a real asshole, because that realtor pretty much violated a fiduciary relationship. So, but I believe Wendy, just like she said, we're on a show. People know who I'm on the show with. So they're like, oh, yeah, you were on the show with so and so. So I'm sure she spoke to somebody who also worked for Legal Seafood, like Ashley did.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And then Wendy said, she felt hurt when Karen didn't mention her last year when she, mentioned everybody. And Karen said, well, I felt betrayed by you. And Wendy said, she said, I felt betrayed by you when you went over to Stacey and said that Karen said you were self-absorbed. Wendy said the betrayal was from you. And then she spells it out when it was from her. It was from her. They show it to you. I mean, she did call Wendy's mother a witch.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Karen said, she didn't even apologize. She said, you know what? I like your mother and I respect your mother. And what I did like is I particularly love when she told you to shut the F up. I was
That was
like,
great. Even Gizelle was like, Karen.
she said Karen, exactly. And the look on Andy's face.
That's what I mean. For Karen to come out on this stage, if you were truly remorseful about getting a fourth DUI and putting other people's lives at risk, because when you drive drunk, that is what you do. If you were truly remorseful and humble, you would not be saying things like that, I don't think.
No, you
Not
wouldn't.
to somebody who was your friend at one point.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. It's not someone who took you to the White House.
Yeah. She's not sorry. She's just not. She's not sorry. She's not accountable. No.
And she didn't admit to 4 DWIs either. When she did that sit down with Andy, she said it wasn't 4 DWIs. She doesn't admit to that either.
Right.
So Andy said, well, you're both feeling betrayed by each other, but for different reasons. I don't think we're going to resolve anything here.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. That's what we do. That's what we do.
This was the most unproductive reunion ever. We should have played a drinking game every time Andy says, let's move on.
Yes, we should have. And then he goes on to start talking about Wendy, about the last 5 years. Dr. Wendy and Eddie Osefo have lived an exemplary and inspirational life. I'm like, oh my God. We see all the scenes with, her and her mom and her dad. And then we see the mug shots. Then we see all the ladies talking about her arrest after it happened. Angel says, it seems like coming after me was just a deflection. I hope that justice is served. And Andy says, what did you mean by that? And Angel said, well, I hope that she gets her day in court. Angel said she was going through something privately that she wasn't sharing with us, and she was using me as a red herring. I don't think that's true. I really don't.
I don't either.
I don't think it's true. I don't think that's true.
Ashley
even said, I don't think so.
Well, of course, Ashley's going to say that. But I think when Wendy was saying, they're saying you got evicted, girl, I think she was doing Gizelle and Ashley's work. That's what she was doing. It
Yeah.
had nothing to do with Wendy. It had more to do with Gizelle and Ashley and what their motive and what narrative they wanted out there for the season
Yeah.
because they think they're running the show, just like other people on other franchises do.
Right. So then Andy asked Wendy what was her reaction to what the other ladies had to say in the packages. And Wendy said, the past 3 or 4 months have been hell for me, and my family. Other people's opinions really don't matter. And she's absolutely right. They don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kay said she stands by what she said and she thinks that Wendy knew she was going through this and that's why she was acting the way that she was. And Giselle said, well, I didn't
Kay,
see that.
nothing to do with you either, Kay. Nobody knew you were
Right.
here. Don't even give yourself that much credit.
Giselle said, which I was surprised Giselle even stuck up for it. Giselle said, I thought the total opposite. Like, I didn't know she was going through anything. And then she starts talking about the break in. Giselle said, I forgot about the break in. I forgot when that happened. But I remember when we were talking and you were saying how Eddie pays all the bills and you didn't really know about your finances. I totally forgot about that. That's
I
actually the
did
only
too.
thing when they showed that. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's right. That whole thing happened.
That was last season, though. That wasn't just this past season. That was last season when Stacey was
Yes.
going through her divorce. So, yeah,
That
we
was
all
last
forgot
season.
about it.
That was last season, and last season started right after the break-in, so it was after the break-in because that's what she made clear.
Right,
Like,
right.
that was after the break-in that we found out that she doesn't pay her bills, like, she doesn't know how much it is, which I do find interesting.
I do too. I mean, I do too. I pay all the bills, but Eric has, he knows how to log on. He checks the accounts. I just go on and schedule the payments to be made. But Eric is well aware of what's there, acts like there's more than there is, but he's well aware of what's there.
Right,
You know
right,
what I
right.
mean? He
Mhm.
can pay the bills if he has to. I just do it because I've always, I just do it.
Right.
That's
Only one
been
person
my
needs
thing.
to do it, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Like, he pays his car payment, he pays some bills on his own, but I do the household stuff.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I guess everyone has a different thing. Bill doesn't pay a bill, doesn't know how to pay bills, never wrote a check in his life. When I met him, he didn't even have a checking account. He would give cash to his mom and she would write out checks for him if he had to pay a bill. Like, he just didn't do it. Just wasn't his thing. And,
Alright.
it is what it is. I tell him to stop
It's
spending
alright.
money. We don't have it. It happens. Whatever it is, right?
Right.
But
Right.
for someone like Wendy, who is so well educated,
Yes.
that's why it surprises me. That's why it
And I
surprises
just
me.
feel like I know she was accomplished and they were successful prior to coming on the show, but I would imagine that their wealth has grown a decent amount since they've gotten on the show. If I personally, myself, joined a show and started earning a salary to add to my family income. If I weren't involved before, I would now get involved because this is my salary I'm earning. I'm the
Right,
housewife. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah,
Like,
no,
I'm
I
now
get it.
contributing more than I have ever contributed before. I'm sure she was contributing very well prior because she was a, professor and
Professor.
on TV and,
Right,
she had a great
correspondent.
career
Yeah.
prior. But she's making a good amount of money now by being on TV. If you weren't involved in the finances before, you're now pulling in a lot more money. Like, wouldn't you get yourself more involved?
Well, you know what, though? We saw the same thing with Dorit and PK. Dorit,
Well,
their
yeah, that's true.
manager, and Dorit was actually the one bringing in the money,
Right.
and
Right.
she had no idea either. So listen, it's not that uncommon. I know it's surprising, we're surprised by it, but we shouldn't be because it's not that uncommon.
I know. But you hear so many people what like famous people getting screwed by like their accountant or their managers or
Mhm.
whoever. And it's like, gosh, like you come into that kind of money, you would think like just knowing all these other crazy stories, like you would have like Robin and Juan,
Mhm.
you would want to have a real handle on what's going on financially. I don't know. Maybe because I don't have it. I have more of a handle on it. I'm watching it
I
like
hear
I'm getting
you. I hear
paid to
you.
watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
So then it you know, this is when Wendy feels the need to clarify things. She said, "Just a point of clarity. My home was broken into in 2024. right before we started filming season 9. She goes, "We came back from our family vacation. My daughter Zoe went upstairs and she's like, my daughter went upstairs and she said Zoe, the dog, made a mess." Her daughter's name is Cam. She's like, "The dog wasn't here. Like, what would that be?" So she said, "Eddie, go upstairs." So Eddie went upstairs and he's like, "I think something happened. We need to call the police." She goes, fast forward to October 9th, 2025. We get a knock on the door and Eddie says, "The police are here." And I go running because I think there's something going on with my kids. And they're like, "No, the kids are okay. We're here, you know, because do you remember me? Was
Burglary.
here for the. And that's when she finds out. Listen, she has a legal team. Her legal team knew she was coming on the reunion.
Mhm.
She would clear she's not that dumb. She would clear anything she was going to say with her legal team before she said it.
Yes.
She didn't know. I really think that that's exactly what happened. I don't think she had any inkling that anything was going on until they came to her house. I don't think that this is going on because the indictment is done. It was done through the court. That was before she was
You don't
arrested.
you don't think she had anything to do if the allegations are true and this really was insurance fraud. You don't think she was involved? You think it was all Eddie?
I don't know, but what I'm saying to you is I don't think she knew that they were investigating her at all.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
I
Got it.
don't
Got it.
think she knew at all that this investigation was going on because I don't think that they tipped their hat until they got the indictment from the grand jury and then they came and
Sure.
arrested her. And then that's when they searched the house and then that's when they found additional things. But
Well, listen,
given
what
the fact
Gizelle
that,
said is true. When the feds come, their file is tight. Their case is
Mhm,
tight. We've all watched Sopranos. We've all watched, they were probably watching them, surveilling them for months.
right. Right. So then Andy said to Karen, as someone who had their own issues with the law, did you reach out to Wendy when you heard about the arrest? And that's when Karen again said, "First of all, I wish your children the absolute best. I pray that whatever you're going through, that it would be dismissed next time you go to court. But I just told you to shut the F up. I took it out of context, but because what I didn't want you to do is what you're doing right now on this stage. You're talking too much, begging you to stop talking. Everyone up there is sitting there with their jaw open, even Andy. I don't want you to go to jail. I'm begging you to stop interviewing because I don't believe it's helping you."
Yeah, but here's the difference, Karen. Wendy does have a legal team, and they did know she was going to the reunion. I'm sure Bravo extended the courtesy of the questions to her legal counsel prior to her getting on that stage. I'm sure there are legalities about that. Bravo's not stupid. So the difference is, Karen, Wendy is eloquent and Wendy is speaking,
Mhm. Yeah.
nice, and she's not wasted telling a police officer that she's part of whose concubine?
Abe
Somebody's
Lincoln's.
concubine.
Abe Lincoln's.
I mean, here is the difference. You should have shut the F up, Karen, because you sounded ridiculous. Wendy doesn't. Like, Wendy's not out there giving E or TMZ interviews. She's
No,
doing
she's
her
not.
job because she's getting paid to do her job. But I would imagine that Bravo
Mhm.
is being cautious and her legal team has been involved, right?
Yeah. I mean, she said it. She said prior to me coming. And she said to Karen, "I receive what you're saying. But what I divulge right now is in public record.
Right, right.
She said, "I hear it, I receive it." And Andy said, "You and your mom and your sister, like, weren't in a great place when the season ended. Like, how have they reacted to this news?" And Wendy said, "That is the silver lining." She's like, "The way that my family has rallied around me, my mom and my sister, and Eddie's family, because they were not close to Eddie's family, we've all come together like we've never been before. So, you
That's
know what?
amazing. So, could you imagine? Does that mean like her mom and Eddie's mom have reconciled, right? Because that's what it came down to.
I think it might be that. Yeah.
That's amazing. That is a silver lining, especially for her children.
Yes.
Listen, I really hope everything works out for them. I like Wendy and Eddie, I really do. I hate to believe that this is true.
No, I do too. When it came out, it came out the week after we were praising her, and we were like,
I know.
"What?"
I mean, we're such good judges of character.
So then Andy said, one of the narratives is that you're trying to keep up, that, you're dressing for the show, you're renovating the house, you have to take care of your mother financially. And he's like, "How do you respond to that?" She's like, "I don't respond. Like, people are going to come up with their opinions. Like, I don't need to respond to that." And then Andy said, "Well, it was reported that you have 67 credit cards under your name with multiple aliases, Pam Oliver and Eddie Hennessy."
I actually like that one.
I did too. I was like, "Oh, we're getting the names too."
Eddie
And
Hennessy,
Wendy's
well, we know what he likes to drink.
That's right. So Wendy said my legal counsel responded to that in court and corrected the narrative. Those aliases were only for packages and deliveries. They were not aliases for any financial institutions, and that narrative was corrected in court. That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
Makes
She
perfect
said there
sense.
were no credit cards.
Andy said
Yeah.
it was also reported by the prosecutor that you have very little money and are in substantial debt. And her response was, "I respect the legal system. If that's is their opinion, then that is their opinion." A viewer asked Wendy how is this impacted her marriage, and she said, "I would have to imagine it's putting all sorts of strain on it." Wendy said, "Absolutely. It's one of those things when you hit rock bottom. But if you both hit rock bottom, you both gotta just hold hands and rise up together," which I thought was an awesome answer, to be honest with you. I
Yes.
did.
And did you see how he came right out
I
and went
did.
right over to her?
Yep.
Yeah.
Listen, I think that they're solid, I really do.
I do too.
I
I
do.
do too. I mean,
Andy
unless
said
she
it's a
pulls a Teresa and then, a year from now turns around and says, he made me do it. I didn't know what was going on. I signed papers. I didn't know what I was signing. Let's hope not. I don't think Wendy
no,
will do that.
I don't I don't think so either. Um, Andy said, "As a parent, I would imagine you would wonder who's gonna take care of your kids. Like, do you have a plan?" When he said, "Well, I pray to God that we don't get there," which is the answer to give, right? Of course, she's gonna have a plan if she
Absolutely.
has to, but why is she gonna give you the plan now?
I mean, I did feel like Andy kept going with it and going with it and going with it, though. Did you feel that way?
He did. He absolutely did. He did. He did. You know,
I mean, what more do you want this woman to say? She's on the brink of tears. She could be going to jail.
yeah,
Like, what more can she say?
right. I mean, even still, Wendy was so graceful because,
She was.
he really was pumping her up. She's like, first of all, as she's crying, she's like, "Thank you for always believing in me. Let's just see how it plays out. I appreciate you. Like, you've always been a champion of me, and it's not lost on me." And then she even went on to say about, like, what a great hugger he is and how he gave her such a good hug at BravoCon. Like, I do believe him and, like, Andy and Wendy are close. Like, even when Eddie
Yeah.
walked out, Andy said, "Hey, bud." Like, he acknowledged him, you know? And then he asked Karen, "What advice would you give to Wendy if she faces real time?" Karen said, "First of all, we are phenomenal Black women. My prayers are with you and your family. Adversity always faced in life. If you know, you rise, and I pray you never know what it's like to have your liberty taken away from you. There's an other side. It won't break you, and if you get real with yourself, you'll be a better version of yourself, and I wish you the absolute best." And Andy said to Wendy, "Any final words?" And I thought that she said, "Listen, I'm not on the other side yet, but when you're in the valley, you see sides of yourself you've never seen before. It builds humility. It builds strength. Even though I'm not on the other side of the storm, I'm already a better woman being in the storm," which again, I thought was such a good response. Was
For
such a good
sure.
response. And then Andy acknowledges that it's the 10-year milestone before he says goodbye to Monique and Karen because he thanks them for being a part of it.
Okay, so I did not watch this on Peacock. So I
I
think
didn't
that must have
either.
been a Peacock thing. Oh, you didn't?
No,
Oh, so it was
I
on
didn't.
the DVR that he said
Yeah,
goodbye to them because I never saw Karen leave the stage. And when they
yeah.
brought out the champagne, I was trying to see if she was drinking the champagne,
No,
and
she
then I
wasn't there,
noticed
no.
she was gone. Okay.
So that yeah, he said thank them for being there and then say goodbye to them. That's when Eddie came out to see if Wendy was okay.
Okay, I must have been so focused on Eddie and
Yeah.
Wendy that I didn't realize. Okay.
Yeah, and then they come back from the break, and that's when Kay says, "We didn't do Gizelle. Like, Gizelle didn't get a package." And
What
Giselle's
did
like, "What
that
about
mean,
me?"
Gizelle didn't get a package?
Well, you know how they gave, like, special attention to each housewife and, like, we got to see, like, what their season was like? We didn't actually see anything. Gizelle talked about what happened with her father, but Gizelle didn't get a package.
Doesn't
We didn't
that
get to
tell
see scenes.
everybody that she
Yeah.
brought nothing to this
Yep.
season?
Yep.
I think that was made very clear. Okay, so that makes total sense to me. I didn't know what they were talking about. She didn't get a package.
That's what it
Well, that
meant.
makes total sense, but she didn't because there was no package to give.
There was no package to give, and Andy said, "Okay, we're gonna wrap this up." And then, "What lessons has everyone learned, and what will you do differently as you approach the year ahead?" He goes, "Let's start with the newbie." Angel said, "I've learned that being zen and calm doesn't mean you need to skip over the things that bother you." I thought that she was directing that at Wendy, which I thought was a little weird.
Yeah, I feel well,
Whatever. Tia said, "My biggest takeaway is I can be quite naive. Even some situations think that or not really think about the damage it can cause for somebody else." Like the way she, says things, which I thought was kind. I
yeah.
actually like Tia.
I think she had a great first season.
I do too.
I think she'll be back.
I do too. Kay said, "This particular day reminds me we do have more things in common than not. I want to always remind myself to put myself in someone else's shoes." I don't believe you'll do that.
Mm.
Ashley said, "I will piggyback on Kay. I also look at this group as a sisterhood. You guys have been there for me over the last 10 years. I think I started to maybe not be so sisterly. I lean more on, like, I need to lean more on that side. Like, I've always considered you guys sisters, and she's kind of admitting that she's been a mean girl,
I totally agree. But
which is
I
true.
think that's only because she got more flack this season for on social media than Gizelle did. She got blamed
She
for
did.
everything, and Gizelle was the one puppeteering the whole thing.
Right. And then Gizelle is next, and that's when she says, "Since I just realized y'all didn't give me a package, I'll just give you a little synopsis about what's going on in my life. My children are great. My one daughter became a member of my sorority. Legacy continues. I've been dating a lot, but moving forward, looking for more quality. I am looking into new business endeavors." What is that? "And I will share when they all come along. As I look over the
None of
past 10
which we
years, this."
saw on this season. None
Right,
of which we
right.
saw.
Right. Which it is so funny that it was pointed out that she didn't have a package. She said, "As I look over the past 10 years, this group has changed and grown. I don't like to embrace differences and new things, but I will do better at embracing the different dynamics that this group brings." Yeah, okay. Um, then Stacey's was a little weird. Stacey says, "I want to continue
Always.
to be me and not change. I want to stay exactly the way I am. I also want to be more direct so that there isn't any misunderstandings with this group." Did you see the look on Giselle's face when she said that? I thought it was funny. Wendy said, "I think this
Listen,
chapter of my."
Stacey could be lying like a dog. She could be
I
lying
love
like
her.
a dog. I don't care. I still like her. She's so unbothered by Gizelle. It makes me want to see her more.
I'm telling you, I think next year Stacey and Monique are gonna be very good friends. I think
I
they are
agree.
gonna be. I do. I do. Wendy said, "I think this chapter of my life I wanna leave with kindness because we say they're not, we're all going through something, and actually they have been very kind." Like, all these women, she said, have been kind. Monique especially, has been a champion for myself and my children. She actually reached out to me, and we just, like, hang out, like, myself and her and the kids. When you need these women the most, like, they know how to rise to the occasion, and I think some of them do. I think some of them do. And she said, "And that includes old bunion feet Ashley," which, again, I thought was funny.
Very funny. Very.
And Ashley said, "I do love you. I wish you the best." And, then they celebrate to 10 years with the champagne toast. And that was it. That was the season.
Yeah, I don't think they needed a three-parter, but this
They
ep
definitely didn't.
this episode was much better than last week, so we'll take it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And we're done, and we're done. And listen,
And we're
going
done.
forward, Bravo, just do us all a favor. If you're gonna keep Gizelle on the show, keep people that Giselle's friendly with on the show, because then maybe we'll see some friendly shade. This year, that was not friendly shade. She was downright mean to Angel. Downright mean.
Yeah, she definitely was mean. She
Yeah.
definitely was mean.
So if you want to keep it friendly shade, as she likes to say, then just please bring people on who she's like actually friends with.
Yes. So until next time, thank you for watching and listening. Please subscribe and give us 5-star reviews. Bye.
Bye.